একটাই কথা যে এটা কিন্তু খুব পপুলার একটা প্রোগ্রাম রেডিওতে। আমরা যখন ইয়াং ছিলাম তখন এরকম প্রোগ্রাম ছিল না। I don't know if you realize that you have a very wide reach. Even আমেরিকাতেও আমি ফ্রেন্ডের কাছে গল্প শুনেছি যে অফিসে বোর্ড হয়ে গেলে we try to get online রেডিও ফুর্তির লাইভ ফিড পাওয়ার জন্য। তো সেই জন্য আমার মনে হয় একটু রেসপন্সিবিলিটি আপনাদের আছে। আসিফ যেটা বললো যে why wouldn't you include this kind of discussion? It's very important. আমাদের ওই টাবুটা ভাঙতে হবে যে সেক্সুয়াল হ্যারাসমেন্ট নিয়ে কথা বলছে না, অনেকে হ্যারাস হচ্ছে প্রতিনিয়ত, কথা বলছে না। তো যেহেতু you have this reach, why don't you like occasionally once a month or once a week bring somebody over who will say yes, I've been a victim, doctor officer hook jekhanei hook, and we need to talk about it. Apni jeta bollen je first of all it's a business, you need to make it profitable. I understand that. Apni to bolchen je I'm assuming you're trying to say je erokom kichu korle you might turn off a big sponsor. হয়তো ওরা অ্যাড দিবে না কিছু দিবে না। If that's the case, sorry,
15 seconds. Anybody else? But 15 seconds.
My name is Safety, I'm a political analyst. The point I want to raise is how many of our political leadership really understands what a blog is? That's one. Number two is the question, are we confining Drishtipat, not only Drishtipat, so it's not really Drishtipat on the spot, blogs as a whole confined to tri-state elite? I mean, can we really have a change confining something to the Gulshan Banani Baidhai elite? And actually you're preaching to the converted in most cases. I know what the atrocities are. So I guess it's not a criticism, but how do we reach out to the masses? And I think to all conclude, we are not the masses here. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just one more. Hello everyone, I'm Rahana Sultana from BRAC Advocacy Unit. Well, I guess I'm representing the Jonagon part of it here. Okay, it's not having medium orientation at all. Brought up in a very small town of Bangladesh. Well, there are, I think, Hashmi, just 50 seconds more. Okay, so there are lots of people like me who go through this debate a lot of times, but thinking of making a comment, but not actually making it for several reasons. But I think now it's time you can concentrate on that people as well. Not just concentrating on the youth of Radio Purti participants or target people. I think you can also not actually. I'm just giving an example. So I think you can also concentrate on people like me who actually want to include this group. So I think publicity is more needed, and what Yash Bhai said, that professionalism should be incited over here now. Thank you.
Thank you. Quick.
So I've been given the daunting task of summarizing this fantastic discussion today, and I really, really, really want to thank all of you who have stayed behind on a working day to give us so much important feedback and give us some very constructive criticisms. So thank you again. I think a lot of discussions have come up in the process of the last 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours at the moment. And I think that a few things, as I listen, become clearer to me. Sitting from the position of being an insider of the Drishtipat, I think I can call it a movement by this point. And one of them is, of course, striking is how it began as an organic process. If we do some process tracing, which is very important as we basically celebrate our 5th anniversary, it started with 2 campaigns, more or less. It grew into a blog. And today we're not just talking about the blog, but we're also talking about a host of publications that are based on facts, that we, based on our own specializations in our particular areas, tend to or actually have volunteered to analyze. And also really reflecting on where we see ourselves, not just as Bangladesh, but Bangladesh's position within South Asia, and even within, for example, areas of US foreign policy and outside. So I think, what do we come with? As you see, we are just a handful of people. So it's fantastic to get recommendations about, we need to look at the question of rehabilitation and what it means. We need to look at the acts that have come out at the different stages of different governments in order to make sure that consumers, citizens are actually protected and they have access to everything that is known to be a democratic principle. But at the end of the day, the idea of getting together all of you was basically to say, for the last 5 years, most of you have engaged with us either through the blogs or through reading, particularly the Daily Star or the Forum or the New Age, and once in a while we've attempted to reach out to the Bangla medium as well and get a few of our papers or articles translated in Bangla newspapers, recognizing that we still can't reach out to the larger audience who are not just, for example, even within Dhaka and outside of. And I think what we're trying to get here is basically engage with you and say, these are the faces. These are the people, or at least a few of the people. You haven't heard, obviously, Saeed is not here, Rumi Bhai is not here, and a few, Jalal is not here. But these are the faces who, outside of their daytime job, actually have made a commitment to write about issues that are compelling. We are not specialists in everything. I think, for example, Jyoti is an economist. I work in the field of international law. Naeem specializes in the issue of minorities and also media, as well as Asif. And we can go on in terms of individuals here who work in the field of women's rights and children's rights are engaged with international organizations. So what do we take out of all of our own experiences, first of all, and our own areas of specialization, and then offer something? So that's one. So I think our strength is that we try to do as much as possible fact-based analysis. If you look at and I urge you to just take a look at our articles placed outside, and also to visit our website, because there you will see, since particularly 2007, we actually have hard copies of a lot of things we've written that are more fact-based, that are far more sophisticated and analytical than just pure conversations on the blog. The second is the issue of diversity, and I think this is also very important. It has been emphasized from different people in this group that we do try and represent different political ideologies, affiliations, backgrounds, etc. And I think there is a richness there. And I think within this diversity, there are people in this group who are from Bengali medium and from English medium who do not live only in Gulshan, Banani, Baridhara, but actually come from outside. There are some of us who have been born and brought up abroad as well. But I think what pulled us all together was a sense of belonging to the geopolitical boundaries of this country, to certain of the ideals that we hold here or we want to see practiced in the democratic platform of Bangladesh, and what we bring in terms of our own areas of specialization. So can we tackle all the questions of poverty? It's such an ambitious goal. Probably we may not be able to do justice to all the different angles, and I think some of you are very big specialists in those areas. So again, the question is, how do we connect the dots? How do I, sitting from either Afghanistan or from Washington DC or from wherever I am, actually know what is very pressing, what is an issue that needs to be analyzed in this context, within this political climate, that may not be possible given some kind of political turbulence or some kind of fear or whatever it is going on in Bangladesh? How do we connect? And how do we also choose? I think the question of self-reflexivity is very important. I think all of these ideas and suggestions that you've given us are something that we really need to now look back upon and think again. Well, even if we have defined our core principles, what do we do with the suggestions you have received? And some of you might be disappointed because we are not able to immediately respond to the amazing range of issues that we need to cover in Bangladesh to take Bangladesh a step forward. But we can at least try. And personally for me, what was very interesting was that, one of our ideas was to come forward and ask you, well, let's share our faces and our names. Let's connect the dots there. Second, let's figure out who are the new people who are interested in joining this kind of media, and let's connect. But what has been fascinating for me is to see how the older generation has really reached out and saying that, well, there are needs that we can fulfill and we just don't need to focus on the youth, but we actually can position ourselves with people who have done or are continuing to do the work already, that we are trying to step into the areas of or we know something about. And finally, I think there is something to be said about the fact that we take some kind of pride in considering ourselves to be somewhat of a nuisance factor. I think we've had anecdotes shared throughout the day of how we have been either attacked or threatened or intimidated via blog, via email, or sometimes personally because of the positions we take on certain issues. These are not comfortable issues. Some of you in the room may not be comfortable with some of the things we have to say about Chittagong Hill Tracks and the issue of demilitarization, or sexual harassment of women, or issues of child labor, not with regard to the morality of it, but with regard to the development aspects of what it means to have child workers in the economy. Or, for example, with regard to secularism or increasing militancy within Islam or within the context of Bangladesh. But I think these are disturbing issues that need to be addressed. And I think it's important that we need to say, these are the positions. These are the ways of analyzing it. But these are also ways that we need to know. If any of us are sitting outside of this room or sitting outside of Bangladesh, we don't always know what issues to actually pinpoint and say, this is the most pressing factor. This is where you really come in, because you need to also let us know that given our capacity, what kinds of analysis on what kinds of issues are the most pressing regarding issues of governance, issues of justice, issues of development, issues of women and children, and sometimes, and particularly the rule of law. So thank you again, and I hope this conversation continues. This is only the 5th anniversary, and someone mentioned, and I thank him for it, that we have stayed. We're going to try and stay, but we need your assistance, and we need a constant engagement and as well as criticism in order to move forward. So I hope the conversation goes on from this room, and I will wrap up with saying thank you so much for coming.
Of course, meeting a